Less than 24 hours to go for budget 2022, and the markets too looking in fine fettle this Monday, with the Sensex jumping somewhere around 1,000 points at open and the Nifty reclaiming that 17,400 mark. Important to note that the Economic Survey 2022 was tabled by the Finance Minister in the Parliament today. And in fact, before I delve deeper into what the Economic Survey is projecting for the current fiscal, let me tell you what an Economic Survey is. Well, it's nothing but an official report card of how the economy has performed over the last year. In fact, it also gives us a sneak peek into how the sectors have, different sectors of the economy have performed in the last year. So on the basis of all this report card, in fact, the Economic Survey has projected an FY23 GDP growth rate of anywhere between 8 to 8.5%, and for this fiscal, that is for FY 2022, that figure stands somewhere around 9.2%. In fact, the government is fairly confident that it will be able to meet its fiscal goal of 6.8% that it had outlined in budget 2021. And that is largely owing to the kind of revenues that it had, that has come in from tax revenues rather. So if you look at both direct as well as indirect tax revenues, well, they have in fact surpassed government expectations. So the government is fairly optimistic when it comes to the consumption picture. In fact, it says that consumption is already at 97% of pre-pandemic levels. However, the projections that have been outlined in the Economic Survey 2022 are subject to certain assumptions that the government has made. First of all, there should not be any more pandemic related disruptions in the economy, and secondly, the crude prices, well, they should be hovering around that $70 to $75 mark, mind you, but that is somewhere around the $90 mark, and in fact has the potential to once again hit that $100 per barrel mark. And thirdly, how the global central banks go about policy normalization, and that should be done in an orderly fashion so as to not shock the entire financial system. So the kind of projections that we are seeing in the Economic Survey are based on these assumptions. However, the economist community does believe that there are downside risks to the growth figure that has been projected for FY23, and that is largely because of inflationary pressures, because the inflation, as we know it, is hovering around that 5-month high and has already eaten into corporate profits. And of course, there is the issue of rising crude oil prices as well. In fact, the economists are also skeptical about the kind of revenues that are coming in from direct as well as indirect taxes. Well, that has to sustain, and so the consumption levels. In fact, most of them believe that the consumption is largely driven by pent-up demands, and once that fizzles out, we have to wait and watch whether consumption can sustain in the second half of the next fiscal. Another thing that economists are pointing out is the asset sale program. In fact, the government has not been able to mop up the 1.75 lakh crore that it has outlined in terms of revenues coming in from its asset sale program. Till now, it has only accumulated somewhere around 12,300 crore rupees. In fact, the LIC IPO that will be hitting that will be coming in the first in somewhere around around March. That is also expected to mop up somewhere around 1 lakh crore rupees. So that could once again translate into a shortfall of somewhere around 55 to 60,000 crore rupees. These are the kind of downside risks that is being pointed out by the economist community. So less than 24 hours to go for the budget. Let's wait and watch whether it's a populist one or a pragmatic one.